Australian police drove ridiculous muscle cars that could hit 225 kilometers per hour. One had 351 cubic inches of American V8 Fury. Another packed a six-cylinder that embarrassed V8s. These were factory-built weapons bought straight from dealerships and put on patrol. Starting with the legendary Holden Torana GTR XU1. Under the bonnet sat Holden's 202 cubic inch inline six with triple Stromberg carburetors pumping out 190 horsepower. That doesn't sound like much compared to the V8s coming later on this list, but in a car weighing barely over a ton, it was enough. The engine would rev to 6,000 revolutions per minute, and top speed was around 200 kilometers per hour. 0 to 100 came up in the low 7-second range. For a six-cylinder, those were exceptional numbers in the early 1970s. But here's why some police forces bought them. The XU1 was nimble on tight city streets and winding roads. It could outhandle heavier V8 sedans. The lightweight construction meant it could accelerate out of corners faster than cars with twice the displacement. Police spec ones that have been documented came with certified speedometers, upgraded suspension, and reinforced brakes. The interior featured police radio equipment and reinforced seats built to handle constant use. When new, this Torana was around $3,700. Today, a well-preserved example can fetch over $120,000. Holden only built about 2,500 total, and documented police examples are extremely rare. The XU1 proved you didn't need a V8 to chase criminals. You needed the right tool for the job, and on certain roads, the lightweight six-cylinder was exactly that. But while the XU1 was quick, there was a Holden that brought proper V8 power to police work, and it looked incredible doing it. Next on the list is the legendary Monaro. The Holden Monaro GTS 350 came with Chevrolet's 350 cubic inch small block V8, producing between 270 and 300 horsepower depending on specification. Torque was rated at 360 pound-feet, which meant brutal acceleration from a standing start. The engine would rev to around 5,000 revolutions per minute, and top speed was approximately 210 kilometers per hour. That was serious velocity for a two-door coupe weighing nearly 1,500 kilograms. What made the Monaro appealing for police work was its combination of straight-line speed and road presence. This wasn't a subtle patrol car. The fastback styling and aggressive stance announced its capabilities before the engine even started. Documented police spec ones featured heavy-duty suspension with extra bracing to handle pursuit work. The brakes were upgraded for repeated high-speed stops, and the chassis was reinforced to survive the punishment of daily police use. Now, I'm not completely sure about this, but I believe around 2,176 Monaro GTS coupes were built in total. Some sources suggest slightly different numbers depending on how you count variants. If anyone has verified production figures, drop them in the comments. When new, this Monaro cost around $4,200. Today, clean examples sell for over $150,000, and documented police spec models can command even higher prices. The Monaro proved that police could have muscle and style. It was more than just a patrol car, it was a statement. And on Australian highways in the early 1970s, that statement was, "Don't run." But as impressive as the Monaro was, there was a car that proved something nobody expected, that a six-cylinder could match V8 performance. And that car was Chrysler Valiant Charger E49. The Charger E49 featured one of the most significant engines ever developed in Australia, the 265 cubic inch Hemi 6 with triple Weber carburetors, producing 302 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque. That power figure matched the big V8s from Ford and Holden, but it came from two fewer cylinders and significantly less displacement. The Hemi 6 could rev to 5,600 revolutions per minute, and the Charger's aerodynamic fastback body helped it reach a top speed around 215 kilometers per hour. quarter-mile times were in the low 14-second range. 0 to 100 came up in the mid-6-second range. These numbers put the E49 firmly among the fastest Australian cars of its era, regardless of engine configuration. What made the Charger attractive for police work was its combination of speed and handling. The fastback design wasn't just styling, it provided genuine aerodynamic benefits at high speeds. The low-slung stance and wide track gave the car excellent stability through corners. Police forces that used Chargers equipped them with heavy-duty suspension, upgraded cooling systems, and reinforced drivetrains. The interior featured police equipment and certified instruments. Everything was built to handle sustained high-speed pursuit work. Chrysler built 149 of them in total. Documented police examples exist, though exact numbers used by various state police forces remain unclear. When new, they cost around $3,300. Today, authenticated ones sell for over $250,000. The Charger A49 proved that Australian engineering could create world-class performance from unconventional specifications. A six-cylinder shouldn't have matched V8s, but in the E49 it did. But we're not done with six cylinders yet, because Ford had their own inline-six that would become a workhorse for police forces across Australia. Most people expect V8s when they think of Falcon police cars, but some of the most effective pursuit vehicles were powered by Ford's 250 cubic inch 4.1-liter inline-six. This engine produced solid, reliable power in police specification and delivered it with relentless durability. The inline-six Falcon XAs could reach speeds around 180 to 190 kilometers per hour, which was more than adequate for highway patrol work. But what made them special wasn't outright top speed, it was durability and running costs. These engines would run forever. Police forces that operated inline-six Falcons reported them reaching 300 to 400,000 kilometers with nothing more than routine maintenance. The simple, proven design meant fewer things could break, and when something did need repair, parts were cheap and any mechanic could fix them. The XA featured heavy-duty suspension designed to handle Australian road conditions. The brakes were upgraded for pursuit work. The cooling system was sized to handle extended high-speed running in extreme heat. Police Spec 1s came with certified speedometers, reinforced seats, and mounting points for police equipment. The interior was built to survive years of hard use. I believe the inline-six XA police cars actually outnumbered the V8 GT versions in many state police fleets. The running costs were lower, and for many police departments, that mattered more than outright speed. If anyone worked in police fleet management during this era, I'd love to hear the real story in the comments. The XA proved that you didn't always need the biggest engine. Sometimes you needed the engine that would start every morning and keep running no matter what. But there was one car that brought together everything Australian muscle car engineering could achieve, and it recorded the highest speed of any production sedan in the world. And that car was the Phase 3. Ford's 351 cubic inch Cleveland V8 produced an official 300 horsepower, though actual output was likely higher. The engine was paired with a close-ratio top-loader 4-speed manual gearbox and a bulletproof 9-inch limited-slip differential. This car wasn't just powerful, it was engineered to survive sustained abuse. The Cleveland V8 would rev to 5,400 revolutions per minute, and in testing by Wheels magazine, the Phase 3 recorded a top speed of 227.7 kilometers per hour. That made it the fastest four-door production sedan in the world when it was built. 0 to 100 came up in around 6.4 seconds. Quarter-mile times were in the 14.2 to 14.4 second range. Every performance metric was world-class. But here's what made the Phase 3 legendary. It could maintain those speeds. The cooling system was designed for endurance racing. The brakes, vented front discs, and rear drums could handle repeated high-speed stops. The suspension was race-derived and could handle sustained high-speed cornering. Ford even fitted a massive 136-liter fuel tank originally designed for Bathurst endurance racing. For police work, that meant fewer fuel stops during highway patrol shifts. Some Phase 3s were used by police forces, though documentation on exactly how many remains limited. Those that were deployed received modifications including radios, sirens, and certified speedometers, but the core performance remained unchanged. This was essentially a race car with number plates. When new, a Phase 3 cost around $4,500, expensive for 1971, but you were getting the fastest sedan Ford could build. Today, civilian Phase 3s sell for over $1.3 million. Any documented police spec examples would be worth even more due to their rarity and historical significance. Ford built around 300 Phase 3s for homologation purposes. The number that went to police forces was small, making them extraordinarily rare. And here's the controversial part. Some argue the Phase 3 was too fast for police work. The performance was so extreme that it required exceptional driver skill to use safely. But that's exactly what made it shocking. Australian police in the early 1970s had access to one of the fastest sedans in the world. The Phase 3 represented Australian automotive engineering at its absolute peak, and the fact that some were used in police service proves just how serious Australian law enforcement was about highway patrol. The Phase 3 proved that when Australian manufacturers were given freedom to pursue performance without compromise, they could build cars that competed with and beat anything in the world. But there's something most people don't know about these police muscle cars, something that explains why they disappeared almost as quickly as they appeared. These 5 muscle cars that proved Australian police took highway patrol seriously, from the lightweight XU1 to the world record Phase 3. These weren't ordinary police vehicles. They were performance machines that happened to wear badges. The era of police muscle cars ended in the mid-1970s, but the legend remains, and the survivors, those documented police spec muscle cars that exist, are some of the most valuable Australian cars in existence. They represent a moment when police departments had the budget, the freedom, and the need to buy the fastest cars available, and Australian manufacturers delivered exactly that. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your mates. Thank you for watching and goodbye.